Hey, what's up everybody? I'd like to welcome you to another Juice tutorial. And today what we're going to do is we're going to start digging into the Tracktion engine a little bit. So a lot of people have been asking me to create a tutorial on the Tracktion engine. And of course, one of the challenges is that we don't really have very much documentation on the Tracktion engine itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to create something super simple. So I was thinking is today we could create a very simple transport. So transport is what you see in a DAW where you can actually play your project or stop the project. And so I thought one of the easiest things that we might be able to do is to actually just create a transport object using the Tracktion engine and to actually just console out the time that's on the transport. Okay, so nothing really difficult, but the main idea is to start thinking of the Tracktion engine as a DAW from the perspective of a developer or audio programmer. And that's what the main objective of this is to do. So we're going to create two buttons, just a play button and a stop button that will start the transport and stop it. Okay. And I'm going to create an audio application and I'm just going to call this Tracktion Transport. And I'm going to create it. And I'm going to put this up on my GitHub after I'm done so you can have a look at it, see what I've done here. So this might go a little bit slower than what you might be used to with the tutorials, just because, like I said, there's not very much documentation, and we're going to need to dig into the Tracktion engine itself to see if we can find these things that we're looking for. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually close Xcode back out, because what I've forgotten to do is to add the Tracktion engine module. So the way we do that is go to our modules in the producer. We can hit plus. Then it says add a module from a specified folder. Okay. And then I'll go to my development folder and then into my third-party libraries and then into Tracktion engine, into modules. And then we have this folder called Tracktion engine, which holds all of our files that we need in order to call the Tracktion engine methods. So I'm just going to add that here. As we can see, it's in red there. And if I click on it, it'll say that it has missing dependencies and that we need the Juce DSP module to build it correctly. So I can just click add that as a dependency. And now we are good. And I can open this up in Xcode. So this, as I said, this might go a little bit slower than our normal Juice tutorials, but I hope you can bear with me and we can all learn together. And some of these things might not be the most efficient way, or you might have a better way of doing some of these things. And if you do, I welcome you to make comments below, because we're all trying to learn these things together and trying to become better audio developers. So if we go into the Tracktion engine here, we can see, and I'm going to open up a new tab here with Command T. And what that's going to do is that's going to let me just kind of have the Tracktion engine header file here where I can just continuously come back and reference this. Okay, so here we are in the Tracktion engine header file. And I'm also going to pull open one of the Tracktion tutorials just to reference, just in case we get lost along the way here. And I can do that just going into tutorials. I'm just going to try this playback demo here, and then I've just got some stuff here that'll help us along the way if we get lost. So first thing that we're going to do is look at this Tracktion engine header file. And what we can do is we can just scroll down here after all these defines. And then we see that we have namespace, which is Tracktion engine. Then here we have a whole bunch of classes. So this is everything that you would think of that encompasses what's inside of a DAW except for the graphics. Okay, so pretty much anything you can do in a DAW will be somewhere in here. It's just a matter of actually finding it and pulling it out. So So if we go back to the tutorial, so we're just going to start this. Like I said, people have made comments, hey, can we build a DAW together and things like that. Now, I don't really have the skill level to build a DAW. That's the only reason why there are maybe only like 5 or 6 main DAWs that are out there on the market. They're pretty hard to build. But what I thought is that we could just start really super basic. And like I said, more than anything, it's more about gaining an understanding or a better understanding of how to navigate through the Tracktion engine and get some ideas of how to see a DAW from an audio developer's perspective. Okay, so the first thing that it says here is that we have this engine class. So every Tracktion engine app starts with an engine instance. This performs the initialization and shutdown of the engine. Okay, so first thing we need to do is create an engine instance. Okay, and we have a class here that says engine, and I can command click in there, and here we have the engine class. So the engine is a central class for all Tracktion sessions. Create an engine before creating any edits. Okay, so we're just going to do that. And as we can see here, we got 3 default constructors. So we have or 3 constructors we could choose from rather. And I'm just going to go with this simple one, which is this one where it just takes the application name as a string. And we're just going to do that. Okay. So if we go back here, we can declare our class. So the namespace is Tracktion engine, and then we need to create an engine. So that's how we're going to do that here. So we can go Tracktion engine, and then I believe that scope resolution operator there. So engine, and then I'm just going to call this engine, and then since we're initializing here, we need to use these curly braces here, like that, and then we could say we got a string which is called the application name. Now, it would be perfectly fine if we were to just call it whatever we called our project, which is Tracktion Transport. Pretty sure that that will work. So let's just try that. I'll just build really quickly. While we're building, as I've said before, in all the videos, if you're finding this helpful and you're liking the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. And if you have any sort of feedback, constructive or positive, I'd love to hear it. Be sure to make a comment below. Okay, so it's building at the moment, and it looks like it's going to be fine. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to open another tab here. I'm going to show you a little something. So if we go into our Juice header file here, so as you can see, we only have one include dependency here from Juice header.h, and if I click in there, so I'm gonna go back over here. Sorry, it's being a little bit slow. So if I just command click into here and go jump the definition to look into what Juice header is, we can see that it says this file is auto-generated each time you save your project, so this is what the Producer actually generates when we actually open things up in Xcode, and this includes all of the dependencies, all of the modules that we need to use. As you can see, those line up with what we have here on the left under Juice modules. Then if we scroll a little bit further down, then we see that there is a namespace called project info, and inside there we have where we can say our name called Tracktion Transport. So this is another way that we can tell the Tracktion engine what the name of our project is, just in case we at some point go back and we actually want to change the name of it. So let's just go back here. So as I said, it says project info. Then we use the scope resolution operator to access this project name. So I can just do that like this, okay? So I could go project info, project name. Okay, and we'll just try to rebuild that again. Just see if that works. That should be fine. Okay, so we can see that build succeeded there. Okay, so that's fine for the Tracktion engine. Okay, so now if we go back here and we go to the second part, so we see that it says edit is a container for a playable arrangement. Okay, so we need one of these if we're going to build a transport. So what we need to do is we need to go back into our documentation here, and then we have the edit class. So I could command click in here, and then we see that we're inside here. So now we just need to create an edit object. So we could do that using these parameters here. So this is our, as we can see, this is our only constructor. So we need to declare these things when we create this object. Okay, so this might take a little bit of messing around, but hopefully we can get through it together. So we got Tracktion engine, edit object, and I'm just going to call this edit, and then I'm just going to throw those in there. Then we're going to go through these one by one. So the engine, this is a reference to an engine object, so we just want our engine in there. So Juice value tree, so this is something that I had to have a look at and really think about. So my first instinct was, okay, well, I'm just going to create a value tree object here, and then just put that in there. That might work. It might work. I don't know if that works or not. But another way to think about this, and one way that I learned that I was looking for from the examples, was that if we have a look into this section, so here we are in the Tracktion engine, the Tracktion engine module. Then there's a section that's called model. That's like all your data model stuff. Then if we go into edit, there's a section here that says edit file operations. Okay, so my understanding of this, so it says contains methods for saving an edit to a file. So my understanding of this is, of course, you would have your audio processor or value tree state that you would normally, where you'd have like your parameters, and then you're changing your parameters within your project, and then you want to save those, and those would save to your value tree. And then if you want to restore them, then you basically load that value tree back up. So that is what I understand this is all about. Okay, and I think that makes sense. If we scroll back down a little bit further, we can see that we have methods here where we can load an edit from a project manager. We can load it from a file. Okay, like if we're loading a project, and it looks like maybe back in the past they've used an XML to actually save these. So what we could do is we could just create an empty edit with no project. Okay, so what I will do is I will say Tracktion engine, and then I can say create empty edit. Okay, so let's just try that. So we got Tracktion engine, create empty edit. Okay, so that should be fine. It's complaining at the moment, but I'm going to just leave it for a moment because it might be because these other things haven't been initialized correctly yet. So now we need to go back in here, back down to our Tracktion engine, into our edit, and wait for this to bring us into our edit file here. So now we have this thing. It's called an edit role. Okay. So not really sure what to put here. So I'm just going to put for editing. Okay. Because that's what we're doing, I guess. So I can say Tracktion engine edit for, is it capitalized or not? For editing. Okay. Then we got load context. They set this to null pointer for the examples that I saw. I'm just going to do that for now. And then number of levels, undo levels to store. I'm just going to put 0 for there. And it's complaining. Why is it complaining? So what's it saying here? It says, is it complaining? It was complaining and then it stopped complaining. Let's see if it's working. Oh, it's working now. Okay, great. Uh-oh, I got something happened. I've done something wrong here. So this isn't right. Something's not right here. So I got create empty edit, Tracktion engine, edit. So it's edit role. Is that right? Oh no, that's not right. I'm just gonna try something else here. Okay, so don't crash. Haha, cool. All right, I'm good now. I think that, yeah, that's not really an error. Okay, cool. So that's fine. So I needed to do, yeah, because it's within the edit class. So it's an enum within the edit class. So I needed to do Tracktion engine, edit role for editing. Okay. So that is how it is. Okay, great. So that's fine for now. So now let's shift gears for a second and let's try to think about these buttons. So we need a play button and we need a stop button. Okay, so we could use the text button class for that. Play button. Okay, so let's just go to the API right quick. Then here we go. So here we are in the text button class. And so we can look at the default constructor here. We can do it. We could just not have anything here, or we can give it a button name. So I'm just going to do that here. So play button, I'm just going to call it play. Then I've got text button, stop button. I'm just going to call it stop. Okay. So that's all fine. Okay. Now what we need to do is we just need to give these some, just do some things with them to actually make them visible and that sort of thing. I'm just going to change the bounds of this. I'm going to do 200 by 200. Get rid of all this stuff. So I'm going to do add and make visible, play button. So that just makes it visible. Add and make visible, stop button. Okay. now we need to, what's next? Okay, so let's just draw these really quick. Okay, so we could use the Flexbox class. Okay, and I think I can actually initialize these with initial settings. So let's go here. Let's go back to Flexbox. Okay. So now we got, so here we can just define our, what we want here. So I'm just going to copy these, I'm going to paste them in here. So then we got all of these different kind of enums. So we got Flexbox direction, Flexbox wrap, align content, align items, justify content. So we're just going to do that here. So we got Flexbox direction. And then we want row, right? Then we got Flexbox wrap, no wrap, so we don't need to wrap around. We can do Flexbox align content. Just say stretch, I guess. We could do Flexbox align items. What we got here? Stretch, I guess. Then we got Flexbox justify content. I'll just put center. Okay, great. So that's initialized. And now we just need to use, I think, flex items here. So we're just going to go into that really quick. So now we got, so now we want this one, flex item. Can I do this? I'm just going to try something super quick. I don't know. Because we have this flex, so we have this array of flex items that we can add. I'm wondering if I could just do this all in one step. So we got Flexbox items dot add, right? Because we're we're just in the array. Because this is returning an array, a Juice array, so we can actually add in here. So now I could do, I think I could do it like this. So I could do flex item, then float width. So let's, I don't know, let's try, since it's 100 by, since we're 200 by 200, I'm just going to try 100 by 100, and then we're going to do play button here. Okay, Flexbox items, add, then we'll do flex item, 100, 100, stop button. Okay, and then how do I tell it where to perform the layout again? How to perform the layout? So where is it? Perform layout, and that's on the on a rectangle object. So we need to create a rectangle object. So just do rectangle int bounds, get local bounds. So we're just getting the bounds of the area of this component, which is going to be 200, 200. And then I should be able to just say flexbox, perform, layout, and then on the bounds. And then let's just see if that works. Okay, so there we go. We have a play button. It's not doing anything, and a stop button. Okay, so now we're going to, so let's think about this. So we need to have something, that happens when we hit the play button, right? So let's just create a method. We'll just call it void play. And we'll create another method called void stop. We'll throw these over here. So we got void main component, play, and then I'll just do the same thing here. Void main component, stop. Do that here, and I'm just going to hit this just to make sure that I've actually initialized this properly. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so now when we hit when we hit play, when we hit the play button, we want it to play, right? So now let's just do this. So we can go back to our text button class. Okay, now we need a method that says what happens when we click it. So I believe that's in button. And here, so scroll down here a bit. So, oh yeah, I'm seeing a couple methods that I need to do here. So first one is we need to set the toggle state. Okay, so we need to have whether the button's on or off, right? So to start off with, we can say play button dot set toggle state. We're going to set this to false because we want the button to be stopped. We want it to be stopped when we first start the application, and then we're just going to put notification type to don't send notification. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing here for the stop button. Stop button set toggle state. I'm going to set that to true. And then I'm going to do notification type. Don't send notification. Okay, so that's fine. Now, what else do we got here? So do we have, I think it's on click. Is it component method maybe? So let's go back here. Okay. I know that there's a method called onClick. I'm not sure where it actually is, or is it just looking for it? I don't want to just... Maybe it's from... not sure where it is, actually. I know that there's one in here. I'm just, for time's sake, I'm just going to hope you trust me that that it's in there somewhere. So we got play button dot on click. Okay, and then we can see that we have a std function here, void. So that means that we need to put a lambda in here. Okay, I'm just going to actually just go in here and see where this actually inherits from. So it inherits from button. I thought I'm just going to says public member functions from button on click. Weird. I'm not actually seeing it though. I'm actually in the text button class. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So you can assign a lambda to this callback object to have it called when the button is clicked. So all we're just saying here is when the button's actually clicked, I want something to happen. So we could just say play button on click, and then we can use a lambda function here. So I'm not going to explain what lambdas are at the moment because there are plenty of places to do that, and that could be a whole bunch of tutorials. So what I'm just going to say here, so in essence, this is saying, okay, when I hit the play button, I want this method to activate play, okay? And I'm calling it on this object being the play button, okay? And same thing here, I'm going to do stop button on click equals, so I'm calling it on this object. I'm just going to call the stop method, okay? We haven't actually defined what that is yet, but we're going to. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make, so what we need to do is we need to have different states, don't we, where we're defining if something is playing or if something's stopped, and if something is stopped, we want it to play, and if something is playing and we hit the stop button, we want it to stop. Okay, so we could do that using a enum class. So I'm going to do enum class. I'm going to call this PlaceState. Okay, remember to put the semicolon at the end there, like so. And I'm just going to say play. I'm going to say stop. So this is just a little something that helps me just define when something's playing. There are certain things I want to happen. And when something is stopped, there are certain things I want to happen. Now, I'm sure there are going to be, this isn't going to be like foolproof code here. This is just like something super quick. So let's do, okay, so let's just do, we have to create a PlaceState object. So we got PlaceState. We can just give it a default value here. So we can say PlaceState stop. Okay, because when we start the application, we want it to be stopped when we first start. We don't want it to be playing as soon as the application starts, right? So now here I can say something like, this is just something to just start me off in the mentality, right? So if the PlaceState equals PlaceState, if actually, hold on, don't crash, please don't crash. Okay, PlaceState equals PlaceState. So if we say, if we say stop, right? Start like this. Then we can say PlaceState equals PlaceState play. Right? This needs to be capitalized, by the way. Okay. Okay. And then we'll just do the opposite here. So if PlaceState is equal to PlaceState play, PlaceState equals PlaceState. I need to capitalize these. State stop. Okay. And now, okay, this needs to be capitalized. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just test this out, just see if this works. So I'm just going to put stopped. I'm just going to put play here. Just to make sure that these buttons actually work, right? That's what we want to see. So now we're just going to build and see if this actually works. So when we click the button, when we click the play button, it should say play right here, right? So it says play. Now it says stopped. So that works fine, right? So it appears that everything is cool so far. So now what we need to do is we need to connect the transport to, so the transport from our Tracktion engine to these buttons, right? So I'm just going to get rid of some of this space here. Okay. So now, so let's think about this, right? So let's have a look at edit. So I think this is where we can actually get a hold of our transport. So if we just scroll down and check out the methods that we have here. So just scrolling down here. Okay, I'm just going to look for transport. Okay, so we've got a method here that's called transport control get transport, right? So that gets our transport. So that'll give us a pointer back to our transport control object. Okay, so now what I can do, so let's have a look and see if this works, right? So I can say, I'm just going to comment this out for a moment. And I'm going to say edit. So because this is in our edit class, right? So where's that method? Edit get transport. So it needs to be Tracktion. So we need to go back into Tracktion engine. So we got edit get transport, right? Hopefully this shows up. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We already have an edit. We have an edit object, so we need edit get transport. Okay. So we got edit get transport. Now what we could do is, so get transport returns a pointer back to our transport control. Now if I click into transport control, I have all of my transport control methods, right? So as you can see, we're in Tracktion transport control, and now we have a whole bunch of methods. Methods like play, okay? So we could say, okay, let's just try it, right? So it's a pointer, so we need to use the arrow operator. It's not auto-completing for me, so which makes me always a little bit funny. So just send MMCI MMC if enabled. I have no idea what that means. I'm just going to put false here, I guess. Just see what happens, you know. Just see. Okay, did it? Oh, transport control is not a pointer. So is it just like that? Did it work? Okay, so I'm just going to erase this for now. Okay, and then I'm going to try to do this for the same. I'm going to do edit, get transport, stop. Okay, discard recordings. We'll put true, clear devices, false, I guess. So we don't have any devices really. Okay, so now that's all good. I think that's fine. So now we need to look to see if there's any way that we can actually get the time, right? Get time when started. So we got get current position. So we got get current position. I'm just gonna, so this is bad practice here if we were actually doing any sort of audio stuff here, but I'm just gonna throw this in here. I'm just gonna throw this in here. My girlfriend's trying to walk in on me while I'm doing this tutorial. So we need to check if it's actually playing. So we could do is playing. We could use the is playing method. So while edit get transport is playing, and then let's do so we'll say we'll just call this time. Then I can use this, and I can say edit dot get transport dot get, is it get current position? Just looking for the right method here. So I think it's get current position. Let's just try that. So the idea is that when this is playing, hopefully, it will actually console out what the current position is. Let's see if it actually works. So here's my thing. Okay. So it's not actually outputting anything. Okay, so I'm going to just comment these out for a second. Let's just see if this actually works. Okay. It's not actually outputting what the time is. Okay, so let me make sure it's actually going through the audio loop. A little bit of live debugging here. So let's see if this actually... Okay, it's not actually going through the loop itself. What's up with that? Oh, what have I done? Let's get next. So something's happened here where it's not actually calling the audio block. What's up with that? Not sure why it's not doing that. Let's see. Let me just try this. It's only going to execute this once. I'm just curious if it... Weird. Weird. Very weird. When I hit play, it's just going to execute it once. Yep. See that? So that's executing once. Why is it not executing over and over again? Okay, so... Okay, I'm going to try... Oh, man. So I'm going to have to do a timer callback here. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. This is just really on the fly. See if I can do it like this. Timer. See if I actually know anything or if I'm going to need to start this tutorial again. Okay, so we'll do timer call. So now we need a timer callback, which is a virtual method. See if this actually... So we do void timer callback. Do I need any parameters? No. Okay. So now I'm going to put this in here. Void main component. Timer callback. This needs to be marked override since it's a pure virtual function. Okay, I'm just going to do this, see if this actually compiles. Oh, no, what's happened? Oh, that's what happened. Wrong. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so that succeeded, so that's fine. So now I should be able to throw this in here. So now I need to actually just define when it actually starts. Okay, so we could have it start when we hit play and then stop when we hit stop, right? So we'll just do start timer. Sets the interval, so we'll set it, I don't know, every 100 milliseconds maybe. So we could do something like this, where we say, so I need to create a timer object, right? So I'll just call this timer. Then I'll say timer start, right? Is that right? Timer start timer. 100. Just gonna see if that actually works. Okay, unimplemented timer callback. Okay, so let's go back. Oh, I need to do something in here. So I did timer callback. So, okay, so why is it... Got timer callback. Oh, it's an abstract class. Okay, so that means that I don't actually have to declare an object. So should be something like this: timer, start timer. Okay, so that succeeded. Okay, and then I'm just going to stop the timer, stop timer. Is that right? Stop timer. Okay. So let's see if this let's see if this actually works after all this. Oh man, I hope my tutorial isn't. Oh, 50 minutes. Wow. Okay. So play. Hey, it works. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I actually made it work. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so cool. There it is. It starts and then it stops. We could just start it again, stop it again, and that's it. Yeah, so that's the transport there. So that actually works. Holy cow. I was really panicking that I'd have to start that all over again. But yeah, it works. Amazing. Cool. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded for you, and I hope you liked this tutorial. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and upload this to my GitHub, and feel free to expand on it, and I'd love to see what you come up with, and we'll expand upon this idea in the next tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.